Hi everybody on Facebook Live. We're here at City Gate with Main Point Women of Faith tonight. Thanks for joining us. I just have one announcement, and that's about Main Point anniversary celebration on Saturday night at Woodcrest Retreat. Doors open at 4:30, dinner's at 5:30. Just bring a dish to share. There'll be worship, testimonies, updates on the ministry, and a lot of food. So anyway, join us if you can. It's always a good time there. So I'm going to call up our speaker for tonight, who is, I'm going to get your last name wrong because it's always Drake to me. Ellen Smoll. Yes. So she's going to come up and bring us a message tonight. So you can come on up, Ellen. So we talked about this before we started, and I've known Ellen and her sister Kelly, who's here, but doesn't want to speak.
I'll drag her up here at some point.
I've known them since we were all like little girls, but older.
We're still little girls.
So it's been a long time, but we won't talk about how many years that is. We grew up going to the same church, and their older sister was always one of my closest friends, so we've known each other a long time. And so she's going to give us the message tonight. So I'm just going to pray for her, and then we'll turn it over to you, Ellen. Okay? Well, Father God, thank you for Ellen and her willingness to come and share with us tonight. We just ask that you speak through her the truth that you want us to hear tonight, and we'll give you the honor and the glory for her story and for everything you're doing in and through her. So we just ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I have my notes written here. I'm going to try not to read all of them, but sometimes it helps me to kind of focus back onto what I want to talk about. But my story begins back in June of 2012. It was just a typical day at my office at work, and I received a call that no mother ever wants to receive. It was the hospital calling me to come immediately, that my son was in an accident, and I needed to get there immediately. He was being rushed there by ambulance with severe injuries from a motorcycle accident. The drive to the hospital was a blur. I will honestly say I don't really remember driving there. But I just prayed as I drove, obviously, because it's your son, you want everything to be okay. And I previously volunteered there at the hospital, and I knew in the actual emergency room and taking people back, and if there was a bad injury, you were always told to just hold up that they're going to bring the chaplain out and they'll talk to the person. Well, when I got there, they said, you have to wait for the chaplain. Mm-hmm. So immediately I was shaking for sure because I knew it was critical. So they took me back to the waiting room in the trauma unit. My daughter Jillian arrived right then as well, and we were given the news that my son had head trauma, a broken femur, broken wrist, and internal bleeding, and so they needed to whisk him off to surgery right away. And I just began to shake over with emotions, and I asked to see him quickly before they took him off. They only gave me a few seconds with him. From there, we waited and we prayed. Prayed like no other, and called many friends and family, please pray, that he'll be fine. Loved ones came to our side, they prayed with us, church members, everybody you can imagine. He was moved to the critical care unit after surgery, but the doctor called me and let me know that they did what they could, but they knew that his injuries were very severe, and even if he healed, he wouldn't be the other 9. So the next 24 hours were very critical, and we took turns staying with him, praying with him, and just asking for mercy. God had a different plan that I was not prepared for. As his mom, he was only 20, a month shy of his 21st birthday. So they came and told us that it didn't look like his brain was functioning, and the only thing keeping him alive at that point was machines. So they did some brain activity tests and everything and confirmed that he was brain dead. this is when we were introduced to Gift of Life. They came and sat with us and gently asked the question, would you consider donating his organs? For me, the answer was absolutely, why wouldn't I? I couldn't imagine a day without Evan in it, but to have his heart continue beating and his eyes to continue to see would truly have him live in others. We discussed it among our family and decided this was the right thing to do. So they took a lot of blood from Evan, doing a lot of cross matches to figure out who needs organs and which ones they would be donating. So the next day, Gift of Life coordinated the most amazing team of doctors and nurses to take care of his precious gifts and give them to patients that are desperately in need. We all said goodbye to Evan as they whisked him off to surgery to begin the recovery of organs and tissue and bone. At that point, my life truly changed. A few days after we said our goodbyes there in the hospital, I received a letter from Gift of Life. So I had tears of joy, but also tears of pain, should I say, but joy at the exact same time, because they provided details of Evan's gifts. And this part I have to read because I can't remember all this. But his heart went to a man in his 30s, his liver, a woman in her 30s, his left kidney to a man in his 50s, his pancreas and right kidney to a woman in her 50s. His lungs were recovered. They were sent to medical treatment because they had a little bit too much damage. But we also donated his bone that would allow 50 to 100 patients to be treated with, limb issues, cancer, any of those types of things. We donated his veins that they could use for heart bypass surgery. And his skin also could be used for people with diabetes, with ulcers, or women that had a mastectomy. Like it goes to those things, which I had no idea about any of this before this time. And his corneas were recovered and restored sight to a 22-year-old male and a 94-year-old female. So it doesn't matter age either. So at this point, to me, Evan was a hero. So 4 months later, we received a letter from the liver recipient, Laurie. She told us her story. At age 6, she was diagnosed with a very rare liver disease. And at age 24, she went into acute liver failure. She was so critical that her doctor performed a transplant, but the blood type wasn't a match. But they did the surgery anyway just to save her life, and she continued on for 6.5 years the best she could, but then she started to get bile duct back up and a lot of sickness. And so she went on to the transplant list in 2011, and this was June of 2012. And she received, I always say, the call. She received that call that changed her life. So Evan's liver was a perfect match. 15 hours of surgery, and she was up and walking around again. And a week later, she was back home with her husband. Her blood tests were better than they were for 7 years. So she was truly grateful for this gift. She had a young daughter, and then she had someone surrogate, and she has now a son as well. And I follow her, and she does a lot of speaking engagements as well, telling about her story. And then in February of 2013, we received a letter from the kidney recipient, one of them. His name was Doug, and he just thanked for that gift, just talked about the underlying dialysis that he went through, and he was alive and well because of this generosity. So around that same time that we received those letters, we sent a letter to the recipients to let them know about Evan, because we were allowed to do that. And nobody knows who each person is. They don't give names, and they didn't know who Evan was, we didn't know who I was, but you were able to communicate, and it was a little bit of a help to kind of get you through this really, really tough time. But to tell about Evan, he was a true blessing in so many unique ways. He was one that lived every day to the absolute fullest, most kind, giving young man. His infectious smile and sense of humor was always let's have fun attitude, touched everyone and made them laugh. It was a testament to his life that at his funeral, so many friends and families were compelled to speak such kind words. He was a man of character. He graduated in 2009 from Conestoga Valley and also from Career Tech for Smoll motor and RV. He was always working on a project, whether it was a car, a truck, a motorcycle, snow blower. If it had a motor, he was the go-to guy. And he has two sisters that miss him every day. My daughter, Crystal, is here with us. Jillian is in South Carolina. Jillian's 2 years older than Evan, and they were attached at the hip when they were little. They were doing everything together. They shared the same sense of humor as well. And Crystal is 7 years younger than Evan, but she always looked up to her big brother, and he loved to tease her like no other. So we've corresponded with Gift of Life, with Lori, the liver recipient, and Crystal and I actually were given the opportunity to meet her. So we met with her and her husband and daughter, and it was a special meeting. Meeting them, difficult, being painfully aware that Evan's not here, but at the same time seeing the difference that it made in someone else's life. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit to how God strengthened me and turned this life-altering event into a blessing for others. So a coworker of mine, Missy, she donated a living kidney to her husband's mother, exposed me to the idea of living donation. And her husband, Scott, had also received a kidney from a stranger. So Scott was an advocate about living donation and talked to me about it, and I had no idea how many people are waiting for kidneys. They're years, and they're on dialysis. It's like a part-time job for them. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have time for a part-time job on top of everything else I do. So I got to thinking about it and felt God calling me to look into it. So in August of 2015, I went and had testing done in Philadelphia, Penn Medicine, to see if I was a viable candidate to donate one of my kidneys. You only need one. So I went and had testing, and Missy and Scott had a friend that was looking for one. He was O positive, and I'm A positive, so they're not a match. However, there's a way of getting onto a chain where I can help him move up the list by donating mine to somebody else. So went through all the testing, and I was given the great news that I was candidate. So I was excited, a little apprehensive, but again, putting my faith in God, knowing that this is what He wanted me to do. Decided to move forward regardless of the discomfort, that I may experience in this process. I waited for quite some time for the surgery to be a go. The person that I was trying to help on this list was having some health issues and so forth, so I wasn't able to. It just kept getting delayed, and I already had all the testing, and your testing only lasts a year, and I really didn't want to go through it again, but so I switched over to the hospital in Harrisburg, and they told me about advanced donation. So this was something new, but allowed me to donate early, so I could donate to somebody, and it would help him push up the list. And they can have lots of chains too, so like I can donate to somebody that's A positive, and then they may have somebody that can donate to somebody else, and it can create these very, very large chains. So we can flash forward to February 17th, and I finally got the call. They found a match. So I had surgery February 21st of 2017. Surgery went well. I will say that wasn't any pain, as they say, no pain, no gain. Yeah, there was pain. But what was truly amazing to me was that my kidney went to a 23-year-old female in Georgia. She had a creatinine level of 8. And normal, if anybody knows anything about creatinine, is between 0.5 and 1.1, so that's huge. And after receiving mine, hers was down to a 1.4. So it's now been 7 years, and I'm doing well. You can live without having to. Many people ask me why. I mean, for me, it started with Evan and seeing how he helped so many people. There's so many people waiting and in need, and we can't take them with us. So, and also knowing this was something I could make a positive difference in someone's life. I believe God takes hard times and gives us strength, and then we are to be stewards. With both the loss of my son and donating my kidney, my lovely sister Kelly, sitting here, decided also she wanted to donate a kidney. So she donated hers in December of 17. So I was in February and she was in December. And her recipient is doing extremely well. His name is Carrie. And in fact, they've met, and she has it's another little family because they do things together every couple months, and it's awesome to see. So the Bible verse that sticks with me through all of this is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Because without him, it would be a very dark place to live and stay, and you can't stay there. You need to use these things that he creates in our lives to do better. So that's my story.
Wow, Ellen, I never heard you give your story, so that was new for me too. I mean, I knew the things that happened, but never heard you talk about it. So,
Yeah.
anybody have any questions about it's a gift of life? Right?
Gift of life.
Anybody have any questions about that?
And it's super easy. If you on your license, you can check the box and be an organ donor.
I have it says organ donor with a little heart next to it on the bottom of my driver's license. And when you get your new license paper to send in, is that where you check the box?
You can do it there, and I also have a little card that has a QR card that you can scan, and you can go on their website if you're not an organ donor and become an organ donor. It's easy to do.
Yeah. Anyone, any questions?
I'm an organ donor.
Awesome.
And I'm going to check about that in Florida when I go by, see if I can donate a kidney. My father wanted me to donate him one, but I never did because he never treated me right when I was little. But then he got pneumonia and he died. So, but I still have my both kidneys that are working healthy. So I'm going to look into that when I get back to Florida.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions, comments?
I think you're very strong to do that for someone you didn't even know, and for your son's organs also to be used in so many different people, and he's living on through that.
Yeah, that's the best part about it, and like we talked about before, God recycles the pain. Your pain of losing him has helped so many other people. That's amazing, and hard, very hard, but yet you can take that he's helped so many other people, and that I think helps you a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have a connection to Evan because we had the same birthday.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, July 26th. I mean, not the same year, of course, but
No.
same day.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So in 1985 and 1983, my cousin took the shotgun to his head. He was only 22 and killed himself, but his parents donated all his organs in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yeah, that's awesome. Somebody else had their hand up.
I was just going to ask, did your son, had he chose to be an organ donor, or you were allowed to choose that for him?
The way that it works is like typically you have it on your license, but if they don't have it on their license, they'll ask the parents if they want to. I don't believe he did, but I know him, and I think that he definitely would have wanted to help other people.
So they give you that second chance.
They do. They do. I mean, it's a hard thing. I mean, I can't imagine working for Gift of Life and having to ask somebody that question, because you are at your lowest low, but to have a little bit of a glimmer of hope. And it actually, while we were in the hospital with him, over those 2 days while they were doing all these testing and everything for all these people that are going to receive his gifts, it took your mind off of the brevity of what was really going on, because you were kind of like, oh, this is interesting, like, oh, you see, you do these cross matches, oh, this is cool, like, and understanding a lot of that, it kind of helped a little bit, get through that part. And then afterward, hearing other people that they're doing well, it doesn't make it all peachy, but at the same time, it's better than.
Sometimes it's very hard because my granddaughter drowned in 2001. She was 2 months, but her grandparents, her other set of grandparents, didn't want that for her, and they brought her from Florida to New Jersey and buried her in New Jersey. But that's a hard thing to do too when it's a little child or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I just thought of something you said, and now I lost it again. You said how we can't take them we can't take our organs with us.
Nope.
You know, we're gonna get a new body in heaven, you know, we don't.
I can't wait to see what that's gonna look like.
I know, me too.
Is it gonna be a little thinner?
Yeah.
Don't we have wings?
Yeah, so we don't take our organs with us, so why not leave them here to help somebody else, you know, especially young people there were several young people that got, Evan's organs, so, you know, they have their whole life in front of them.
Well, I can look at the cornea recipient, 94.
Yeah,
Like, you wouldn't think that, but hey, it's somebody's grandmother.
right, yeah,
You want them to be around, you know?
yeah.
So.
Yeah, so it's an amazing thing, hard at first, but, I would think that you get, some encouragement from the letters and, yeah.
Were you there when they took him off all the machines?
Well, they left him one to take in, they took him down the hall, and he had everybody with us at that time, and we said goodbye at the elevator. They have to leave him one because everything has to still be
Oh, it has
functioning
testing,
until,
right, the
until,
testing.
well, no, not just the testing, just everything has to be living up until the very last second that they're gonna take the organs,
Oh.
for them to function. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And what, recovery time did you and Kelly have, like, after you done?
Oh, well, Kelly, why don't you come up here so the
Yeah, why
lovely
not?
people can see you?
Yeah.
She's a superstar, like always.
Exactly. And I don't remember you guys being this much taller than me, but. I guess you always were.
So I was in hospital 3 days, and then recovery was probably, I mean, I do an office job, so it wasn't, I could do pretty much anything. So it was probably like two weeks that I was home, and then went back just kind of like real light, and then after 4 weeks you're good to go. But my superstar sister, she left the day after she had her surgery because she was up and around and feeling like a superstar that she is. So her recovery was much quicker.
It was. I wanted to go home that night, but they wouldn't let me. Stayed one night, then they let me go the next day.
You just wanted to get out of the hospital. Yeah, and, your recipient is doing well?
He is.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll
You guys-
celebrate his 60th birthday on St. Patrick's Day this year.
Okay,
Yeah, party for him.
yeah,
Yeah.
great. That has to be a very rewarding feeling, to know
Yes.
that you help somebody live, basically, I mean, and getting, dialysis is, no, I had an uncle who got dialysis like 3 times a week, I mean, that is draining. So to know that you helped, and you only need 1 kidney to live, so, yeah, that's amazing.
And it was meant to be, because I was lined up to did all the prep the night before, the shower, everything you have to do, and then I got a phone call, the last cross match, the blood they did, one of the antibodies wasn't right, so they canceled the surgery and moved on to the next person on the list. And as Ellen had mentioned about the paired exchange, you have to have somebody who's gonna also donate to help you. And that person, there was some health issues, so they moved on to the next person. And Carrie was told by his doctor the week before that things were not good, so.
So it was the timing.
It was a blessing of God's timing
That he got it.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow. Yeah, we talk about God's timing a lot here, because we hate to wait, but, you know, the wait is worth it. Anything that either one of you wanna say about your recipients, or?
I don't know anything on my recipient from my kidney, never heard anything from them.
Oh, okay.
I just know that it was a girl in Georgia, that's all I know, 23. And the only recipient of Evans that I've heard from were the 2, but the only one that I stay in contact with is Lori. And she does a lot with Gift of Life, and they have in April, they have, the donor dash, so they raise a lot more money for more awareness and so forth, and she'll be part of that, so.
So this is like a national organization, and people can donate money toward it. Okay, great, well, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone else, questions, comments?
I think it's pretty amazing that 2 sisters donated a kidney.
We're pretty close.
Yeah. How many years are you guys apart?
14 and a half months.
Okay, I knew it wasn't,
Pretty
it
much.
wasn't
We
that.
play the game all the time, who's the older one.
I happen to know, but I won't say anything. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming, you guys.
Absolutely.
And, we appreciate you, and it's good to see you again, because I haven't seen you guys in a long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we need to get together for dinner or something,
That'd be good.
with your sister,
Yeah.
your older sister. Okay, well, thank you so much. Ellen did bring some things to give out, so don't run away right away. And there's still snacks and coffee and stuff over there, and maybe you have questions you wanna ask them, off camera, so. You can hang around and talk to them, get some free things, and we'll see all of our Facebook friends next week. So have a good week.